Hey there, TaxBots. I'm Justin Spicer from the Ohio State Legal Services Association, and I'm here with Melissa Skilleter, Director of the Low Income Taxpayer Clinic of Southeastern Ohio Legal Services, and Kathy Hoover, attorney with the Low Income Taxpayer Clinic for the Legal Aid Society of Columbus. Today, we're going to answer the question, what do I do if I didn't file my taxes when I was supposed to? So, Melissa, generally, Americans and other people in the US with income have to file tax returns every year by April 15th. What happens if someone should have filed a tax return but didn't?
This is a great question. In our tax clinic, we see people all the time who didn't file their tax return one year and then it gets out of hand. They don't file the next year or the year after that because they aren't sure what to do about that first year. This is a very fixable problem, and it's better to address it sooner rather than later. When you earn money in the US, the employer or company paying you is required to send you a Form W-2 or Form 1099 with the details of the payments you got that year. The information also goes to the IRS and to the Social Security Administration. The IRS computers look for situations in which the income was reported on those forms, but the taxpayer did not file an income tax return. If the income on file with the IRS would have resulted in a tax due, the IRS sends you a notice telling that you need to file a tax return. This process can be very slow. Several years can pass before you hear anything about your failure to file a tax return. Sometimes people think that this means that the IRS hasn't noticed or they won't notice that they need to file, but that's just not how this works. There is no time limit for the IRS to contact you about the need to file, so it could happen anytime.
So, Kathy, what happens if you don't respond to the IRS letter saying you need to file? Do they just go away?
No, unfortunately, the IRS just won't go away. If you don't respond, the IRS takes the information they have about your income and calculates a tax due. But the information they have is often not your whole tax story. They don't add your dependents on your return, and they can't reduce your tax with tax credits or deduct any business expenses. So many times the tax they calculate is higher than would it be if you filed your own return due to this missing information. Another downside to waiting until the IRS calculates your tax bill is that it's a debt that cannot be eliminated with a bankruptcy. If possible, you should file your own tax return before the IRS does it for you.
So, Melissa said that sometimes people need to file years of old returns. What do they do if they don't have those tax records anymore?
So for recent years, you might be able to get a W-2 or a 1099 from the company or person that issued it to you. Many larger companies use online systems like Paychex or ADP or other to manage payroll and tax documents. If you were able to access your pay stubs online, check that system to see if your tax documents are also there. People can also get a lot of their income information directly from the IRS. The IRS will have information about the money you earned and the money that was withheld from your your paycheck for your federal tax. Those records are available for the last 10 years. The easiest way to get these records is to sign up for an online IRS account or to submit a request online. Go to irs.gov and find the Get Your Tax Record link. The IRS calls these records wage and income transcripts. People who worked in Ohio may be able to get their information about their Ohio withholding directly from the Ohio Department of Tax. The state has just launched a new online portal for taxpayers called Ohio Tax eServices. At the end of October, we're going to talk more about that new option, so stay tuned for more information in another Facebook Live.
So, Melissa, what about documentation for business expenses?
The government won't have that information. If you have a small business or you're self-employed, it's your job to track those expenses. Check out our video called The Hows and Whys of Record Keeping if you need more information on how to do that. If you don't have any of those business expense records, you might be able to collect enough information to report those expenses anyway. Gather any documents you have from those years that you need to file. Get any bank statements you can from those years too.
Melissa, is that something people can get help with?
Yes, absolutely. Tax professionals like the low income taxpayer clinics can request documents from the IRS and from the state. In fact, if you have a small business or are self-employed, I would really encourage you to get help with those past due returns. For the past 3 years, people with simple returns can work with a free filing site. Gather any documentation you can and reach out to 211 if that's available in your area to see if you can find free tax help. If a free filing site doesn't work for you, but you still need help, look for a reliable tax preparer. You can also use a free tax filing software by starting at irs.gov/freefile.
All right, Kathy, before we wrap up, is there anything else people should know?
Yeah, so people have 3 years from the due date of return to request a refund from the IRS. So for example, let's say a tax return reporting income from 2020 was due on May 17th, 2021. The normal April deadline for the 2020 return was extended due to the COVID pandemic. So if you still haven't filed a 2020 return, you need to mail your return to the IRS by May 17th, 2024. That's 3 years from the due date of 2021. And you should send it by certified mail, and you should keep a copy of the receipt of the mailing.
All right. Great information as always. Thanks to Kathy and Melissa, and thanks to everyone for tuning in. The video of this session and the others in our Tax Chat series are available on our Facebook page. Join us next time on Friday, October 13th, when we continue our series on tax issues for people who are self-employed and talk about the Ohio Business Gateway. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next time.